Hey, welcome, man. This is day 32 of reading the One Year Bible. Unbelievable. You made it. Way to go. Awesome job. Stick with it. I'm telling you, you said something earlier, which I thought was really cool. Hold it. Let me introduce you. This is Chad. Tell us about yourself, Chad. How long have you been coming to church?
So I've been coming on and off for, I think, like 5 years. Originally from British Columbia, came down here to work for my dad's construction company, never left. Met a girl at a coffee stand named Ricky that was a Christian and got me,
she kind of
into
drew you
gold.
in,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
That is
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And you've been coming. You're kind of new to your faith. Your faith has evolved as I hear it. And
Yeah, no, that's correct. I mean, I was coming to church, but as far as like actually reading the Bible, praying on a regular basis, and then kind of consulting Jesus Christ before major decisions is kind of a new thing to me, but that's kind of how I'm trying to live my life now.
awesome. So he's the perfect guy. Chad's a perfect guy to come because that's like some of you. You've never read the Bible. You said you tried to read it before. It was like eating dirt. You could do it, but it's kind of
Well, yeah, I grabbed it from page one and I started to read it, and it was yeah, like I said, it was like eating dirt. I could do it, but it wasn't too much fun.
So here's what we're doing. We're reading the One Year Bible together, and we do a little of the old, a little of the new, a little of the Psalms, Proverbs, and it's amazing. Now, I love our passage that we have today. It's on Exodus. And can I just give you a general overview? Maybe some of you have missed. The Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, all those books are all written by Moses. And Moses learned his writing skills really at Pharaoh's court. And when he wrote it all down, much of the stories, some of you may think these stories got passed down from time to time, but they were actually written stories, or they were able to go back to talk to someone who had already talked to someone. So, for example, like for before Noah, everybody knew Adam because they'd talked to Adam because they lived so long. So even with Noah afterwards, if you wondered about Adam, just go talk to Noah, and he lived a long time. So many of these stories you have to understand are really close to firsthand stories. They're very accurate. Exodus begins to be very, very detailed. Genesis was not very detailed. Exodus is very detailed because it's kind of Moses' story. It's kind of his people's story. And today we get to talk about this cool moment when the Red Sea gets parted. That is awesome. And I have this verse that picks out Exodus 13 in our daily reading. Pharaoh finally let the people go. God did not lead them on the main road that runs through the Philistine territory, even though it's the shortest route. He said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds. So he led them in a roundabout way. And in fact, what we learn is that God led them to a dead end. And I love it when the Bible speaks to us personally. Chad, you have been in this process of following God. And has God ever led you to a dead end that you thought was a dead end?
Oh, countless times, especially as a business owner. I've been in a lot of situations that I thought were dead ends, that were the best, or that, the worst things that could ever happen to me in the moment. And then looking back with hindsight, realizing that it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. And, as I grow in my faith, when those moments come up where they appear that they're coming, I kind of realize that one door that closes typically opens another one. And that's been my experience.
And God's really used that. And I know you're using your business for God at this point in your life. And it's so cool to see how God is using. You have a couple of businesses, rentals, and then your name on your deal is Magnum, right?
So yeah, Magnum Construction Services is my scaffold company. We're a local. We service the state of Washington. And I also have some real estate holdings. And yeah, just starting to tithe has been an interesting thing for me because just realizing that you're giving 10%, but everything, 100% of it comes from God. So it seems like a pretty solid business deal for me to keep 90%. So it's been kind of fun to watch just last minute small projects. And just when you think you're going to run out of work, something comes in or you get a new contract. Yeah. I've had a couple amazing things happen just as I started to tithe in my business. And, it's been a really powerful thing for me to do.
That's good. Well, I like this Exodus passage because he was teaching. They were actually teaching the people of Israel, there was a lesson to be learned there that if you hit a dead end, realize that God's probably led you there for a reason, and there's something about to happen. I think when bad things happen, it's our opportunity to see God work. When we go through tough times, and I don't know, Chad, you and I were talking, there may be some tough times in our country, maybe some tough times all around. But what I love is that when we're serving God, when we're doing what God wants us to do, there's always a way out. He works it out. Here's the verse that stood out to me. The Lord himself will fight for you. So here's our word to you today. If you're at a dead end in your own personal life, whatever, hey, just realize that God really has a way out, an escape. Now, who doesn't love the moment where Moses stands there, raises his hand, and the Red Sea parts? Could you just picture
that was amazing?
that moment?
Yeah, that was incredible.
You know, Chad, I've been to the Red Sea, and my wife and I swam in the Red Sea, and it's such a cool place, a great place to go and actually scuba dive, skin dive. And when Audrey and I were there, it was so cool to just think, man, this is where it all happened. This is what happened. So, man, I encourage you to just visualize in your mind. This was a physical thing that happened, but I know God does these things miraculously. Now, the next thing that we find is that Moses actually sings a song. I don't know about you, but when something really good happens, I don't write too many songs. Do you
No.
write songs?
No, I don't.
Did your wife
Might
write
listen
songs?
to them, no, but don't write them.
But then we switch over to the New Testament. So maybe you're reading in the Old Testament, you get it, but I love even the New Testament. And here's Jesus, and he's going through the stories, and he tells the parable of the two sons, and then he tells a parable of the evil farmers. And what I think is really interesting, when Jesus tells a story, you don't know that the story is about you until halfway through the story. All of a sudden, it dawns on, and the Pharisees at the time, it dawns on them, he's telling the story about them, you know?
Yeah.
They get a little offended, don't they?
Yeah, they do, definitely.
It's kind of, in fact, they're so offended, they say, let's kill this guy. But here's what I liked about this, Chad, because sometimes we think Jesus is a weak guy. They wanted to arrest him, but they were afraid of him. That's a cool thought, isn't it? To think Jesus really was a man's man. I believe he was a man's man. He knew how to handle stuff all the way through. I don't know. Did anything stand out in that whole passage as you read it? Anything that hit you? It's okay if it didn't, but
no, just the fact that he was telling the story, that it was actually telling it about the people that were, coming against him, and they figured it out halfway through. And then, just like you said, that they realized they had to make a decision, but if they were going to arrest him, they would have, that would have caused some major calamities and riots and God knows what. So,
yeah. So now switch gears to Psalms. Here's the cool thing about Psalms. It's David's prayers. So King David writes this prayer, and he says to God, declare me innocent. And he says, put me on trial, cross-examine me, test the motives of my heart. That's a great prayer. I don't know whether you've ever prayed that prayer, Chad, in your life. I know you're developing in your faith, but I like this prayer. And Psalms is just a kind of a reminder to sometimes just to cry out to God. And I love what David said. He said, look at me, look at my heart, test my motives. If we do that, what do you think happens when we do that, Chad?
You're probably going to be tested, and then you just have to stand in faith. That's kind of what I'm doing on a lot of things with my life right now, and reading these Psalms, because I sometimes I think I don't know how to pray, and I'll read something like that, and it'll give me just a kind of good overview on what it means to pray, what it means on how to pray, and that's what I took from that.
Awesome. So the last one is, there are 6 things God hates. No, there's 7 things he detests. I like this one. These are just awesome. Haughty eyes.
So what is haughty? I was going to Google that.
That's great. Haughty is like proud, like a real, got a chip on his shoulder, chip on her shoulder. Haughty eyes are somebody that they think they're better than you. He hates that.
Gotcha.
And you can just associate that, right?
Oh, yeah,
you
absolutely.
Kinda don't like this. Or a lying tongue. How many times has that been a problem for you? A lying tongue. Hands that kill the innocent. Heart that plots evil. Feet that race to do wrong. False witness. We did a whole series on this. 7 things God hates. And, it's just a good reminder. Don't be those 7 things. and follow along. Well, we hope you enjoyed today. We're just talking about this daily reading, and I hope you enjoyed Chad. When you see him around church, say hey. And he did it. He was a little bit worried today, but didn't he do a great job? Great job, Chad. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that you will stick with us all the way through 365 days. Keep going.